Okay, let's talk about basic flying skills for the 4.8. It's a power kite, so the most important thing is going to be safety. What I want you to realize is the quickest way to depower it is kick those handles back. This sheets the kite out and kind of cuts that power. So back is depower. You can also stop it and hover it, and when it's hovering, if it's stationary, there's not a lot of power there either. It's really that motion that makes the power. So instant depower, just kick those hands back. The problem with kicking the hands back, the kite's going to take off and fly in whatever direction. If it's heading into the ground, it's powering up, and you go like that, it's going to accelerate into the ground. So the second thing I want to talk about is you can depower this way. You can also depower by pulling back. If you pull back one handle, it lays that kite out and it spills the wind off and it depowers it quite a bit. So if you launch the kite and it's powering up and it's powering off to the side, first of all, if you power it straight up, kick those handles back, it'll just kind of flutter up. The other thing is, don't fly in too big of winds when you're starting out, okay? And don't go out in 10 or 15 mile an hour winds, more like 3 or 4 mile an hour winds. So you get a chance to get used to it a little bit. So you launch it, it goes fly up, it heads off to the side. Pull it, kind of like a two-line kite, pull it, but this one will really turn it. You need a little rotation too. Remember, it's a rev. But if you rotate it a lot, you'll stall that wing and it'll start going into crazy patterns. So it's just a nice, smooth curve we're trying to get into. So launch it, fly it up, stop it, back it down, practice that a couple times, and get just a feel for that power and how quickly it's responding. Then power it up, try to hold it there, pull, turn, and this really isn't a pull and turn. This is a pull and a turn, okay? The other thing we're going to look for is we're going to try to lock in the power. That's what this is all about. So it's sensitive to that angle of attack. There's a certain angle where it locks into power, and more than that, it sheets it out, and less than that, it'll stall and stop it. So you want to find that angle. Once you find that angle, that's pretty much the angle you want to fly in for power. So you don't want to be doing a lot of this while you're doing it, because it keeps ruining that angle of attack. So once you find that power, like right there, oh, okay, I got the power, then to do a turn, pull, holding that same angle, a little rotation to get it to turn. When it turns, go back the other way, pull, a little rotation, and back to that power angle. That's really the goal you're after. All right, now to actually ride with this. If you've got a mountain board or a buggy or something like that, you're trying to actually use it for power. The way I learned is I actually just used a skateboard, and I actually flew with, I think, a 1.5 or maybe two 1.5s put together in pretty good wind. I just get used to standing on the board and being able to look up and not falling over, so that's a little bit of a skill. But once you can stand there, park your rev up in the wind, and then you're just going to dip it down and take it back up again. Dip it down, you get a little bit of power, source of power, you ride a little bit, and then bring it back up. Don't keep powering, just power, depower it instantly. Just dip it down and back up. And you can do it just very lightly, so there's not a lot of power. You can just inch your way into it. So the basic setup is wing is downwind, straight downwind, whether your board or your buggy is at about a 45-degree angle. You dip down into that window and it takes you off on that path. As soon as you're moving, bring it back up again and take the power off. So it's back up, no power, you're just gliding on the bearings, and then turn your way back upwind and stop. This is how I did it on my skateboard. I just did a little turn, maybe 5 feet, ride down, come back up, stop. Dip it down, ride down, turn back up, stop. Dip it down, ride down, turn back up, and stop. And then as you do that a few times, you start to get a feel for the balance, the wind direction, depowering, how deep you're dipping, all those things all play together. And if you just do it very simply, you can go back and forth 10, 20, 30, 40 times. And by the end of the afternoon, you'll be down, dipping it, feeling the power, cutting across, crosswind, and holding that power. Then as you're coming up to your endpoint, turn it back up, let the depower, and steer yourself up. That'll actually slow you down. Now you're ready to go again. By the end of the day, I was going 40, 50 feet back and forth. And then you just do that for a few days. But it doesn't happen instantly, and the biggest problem you get into is too much power. So just dip it in, dip it out. The other way you can do it is take it from up overhead and then back it down. There won't be a lot of power, and then just shoot it straight up. That'll give you a little boost. It'll take it right back up to a safe spot, and then you just practice your little path that you ride on. Okay, that's a good way to get started. If you've got any questions, give me a call, and I'll take you to the next level.